Hey everybody, welcome back to Ginger Flicks. I'm Joey.
I'm Josh.
And today, what movie are we talking about?
We're talking about The Social Network.
The Social Network. That Facebook movie that came
That
out a few
little
years
movie that
back.
could.
Little movie that just
I
chugged
got a
along
fan going.
like the little choo-choo train. It's okay if you got a fan going. I mean, if you hear guns going off in the background of mine, it's because one of my roommates is playing Call of Duty.
Mm,
So
or
it
playing
may
Call of
sound
Duty
it
or enacting Call of Duty.
maybe column A, little column B, I guess. I mean,
Little column A.
we it could sound like that I'm in a war zone, so just be prepared
Nice.
for that.
I'm down.
Oh, awesome. So yeah, we're talking about the Facebook movie there, The Social Network. What'd you think? It's
Um,
been a while since I've seen it because I saw it
yeah.
when it first came out, and I think
You know
we
what?
actually saw it together maybe.
This is probably one of the few dramas that I can rewatch over and over. I haven't watched it in a number of years. I can't tell you the last time I actually watched it, but I remember I saw it in theaters once, and then I downloaded it and I watched it a few times because I had shown it to people. It's like this movie's
Mhm.
great, and then rewatching it again after a few years at least. Yeah, this movie it holds up for me. It is arguably I think it's one of the best movies, at least of the 21st century, like for sure.
That's a fair point. I mean, it's really well done. It's really good. And it just, now with what we know about Mark Zuckerberg, I think it's actually a decent depiction of him.
Yeah. I think it
I,
is too. I think they made him more of an not an like they made him more of a jerk in the movie than he actually is, but I think it's
I mean,
the
not
actor.
necessarily. I mean, we don't know Mark Zuckerberg per se, but I mean,
What? We don't? We
I
don't
don't
know?
know him.
We don't know a guy worth $85 billion right now?
I, I kind of wish we did. It'd be nice. Maybe people will actually, more people will listen to the show,
They'd
definitely.
be like, "What?" Yeah.
But I mean, I I think the funny thing about this though is I think Jesse Eisenberg gets a little bit of the pushback in the sense that people think he actually is a jerk like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But have you seen him in some interviews? Sometimes he can be.
Really, I don't watch enough interviews
I
anymore.
I don't think he goes out of his way to be. Like I don't think it's kind of like in the movie, right? When the very last line is Rashida Jones, right?
Mhm.
Says, "I don't think you're an asshole, Mark, but I think you try to be." And I think
Right, yeah.
so I think that kind of rings true. Like I don't think he is actually a I don't think he is a bad person. I think he's a decent actor but there was an interview he was doing for I think it was one of the Now You See Me movies,
Right.
and he was just having none of it. Like
He
I
just didn't
don't
want to be there.
I don't well, it's just the reporter or the host or whoever it was that was
Mhm.
interviewing him. It didn't seem like it was a huge it wasn't ET or anything or something really big, but the person was asking some really silly questions, and he was just very almost in a Mark Zuckerberg or social network kind of way,
Right, right.
deflecting the questions and then just turning them on the host, and it was actually kind of funny to me because he wasn't.
He's also not the first actor that's done that in like a press
Yeah,
junket because
exactly.
I could imagine it would get annoying because you hear the same stupid questions over and over again, and then it's
Yeah,
just like, all right, I'm done.
or it's like the person is asking the question without doing research.
Oh yeah, there's that too, right? I
So
mean,
I imagine, yeah, and of course when you're in these movies doing tours all over the world, you probably get a little flustered, to say the least.
for sure, for sure. Other than that, I mean, I don't have like many negative things to say about this movie. I thought they were done really well. It still kind of creeps me out that Army Hammer plays both the Winklevoss brothers, but then
Yeah.
you see a photo of the Winklevoss brothers and they do look identical, and
Yeah.
it's still creepy as
Well,
hell.
I don't know the whole story, but I know there was another actor that had played one of the Winklevoss. I don't remember
Mhm.
which one, if it was Cameron or Tyler, but one of them did the body for it. And they superimposed Army Hammer's face on him. And I can't remember if the story was that there was supposed to be two actors initially, and then they just said screw it and put Army Hammer as both. I don't remember. There was something like, but I know it's another actor as one of the bodies. Like he didn't do the body work for both. I know that.
Fair enough. I mean,
That's it.
it could have been one of those instances where they sort of had the double standing in there when it's supposed to be the two of them. I think they even did that with the Tom Hardy movie where he played the two twins as well,
Right. What was it? Legion
or
Le-
Legend or something like that.
Legend,
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah,
About the mobster guys,
yeah,
the
yeah.
Craze or something. Yeah.
So we know he can play a mobster, but that goes back to the old that goes back to our last episode. Um,
Oh man. In all honesty, like when I was watching this movie, I didn't, because it came out 10 years ago now, The Social
I
Network.
know it's a decade old.
Like
It's a decade old.
when I'm watching it, this movie I think was better than it had any right to be.
How do you mean?
Like, do you remember when it came out? Do you remember seeing the trailers where like this is a movie about Facebook?
Yeah, I thought that was
Or,
dumb.
like this is a movie about Facebook.
Yeah,
Now, how good can it be? And then it ends up being nominated for Best Picture, Best like screenplay, Best Actor, Best
well, again, it was
score.
very well done, very well
Well,
produced, and
and
everything.
that's the thing. Again, it's like for a drama, like the dialogue in this
Mhm.
movie is fantastic. It's gripping. Like it just keeps you engaged the whole time. And I think that's a mixture of Aaron Sorkin being such a brilliant writer, and then you have
Mhm.
Jesse Eisenberg, who the whole time he's so fast, like he just throws out quips. Like he plays such a good jaded, stuck up, but also that coming from less money, like he plays this character so
Right.
well.
And then, in Man of Steel, he plays Mark Zuckerberg as he is today, so it makes sense.
He played a less version of Mark Zuckerberg.
I don't know, sir.
No, but really, like it's. I mean, I'm pretty sure it was his role in The Social Network that got him the role of Lex Luthor. But
I wouldn't doubt that. I mean, but because if you go thinking about it, and now we're jumping into Man of Steel for some reason, which we haven't watched that movie. But anyways, it's a Jesse Eisenberg tangent, so to speak. But I mean, if you go thinking about it, this is like some ways a strange prequel of the Lex Luthor story
could you imagine?
in in Man of Steel, because if you arguably, Lex Luthor essentially makes
Yeah.
his money the exact same way in Man of Steel, or the
Nah, Lex Luthor does it in a very. I think in the movie, I haven't seen or Batman versus Superman.
that's
I
right. It
haven't
was Batman versus
Right,
Superman,
I haven't
which
seen that movie since it came out.
yeah,
If I'm not mistaken, in that version, Lex Luthor gets his money because the company was his father's, and he was supposed to be playing Lex Luthor Jr. technically, or something. I don't remember. It's
it's not
so
that
long.
important. Again, we're
But
not even watching that movie.
this
But
would have been a better version because
yeah, right.
but the only thing is I think that Lex Luthor is smart, that he would have come up with all those schemes beforehand. Like he didn't do it, you know what I mean? Like he wouldn't have had
Yeah,
to make
okay, yeah.
the
In
Winkle
a
boss, he
character
wouldn't have had to make,
exactly.
yeah.
But I mean, now here's my question. Did Mark Zuckerberg actually just steal the idea? Because according to this movie, he blatantly stole it.
Well,
Just
the
because he
thing
didn't
is,
use their same platform or their same code
Mhm.
doesn't mean he didn't steal the idea.
Well, I think it's not that he stole the idea. He made it a little different. I think what the Winklevoss was trying to do was they were trying to make something connecting the universities, but they also wanted it to be more of a dating app almost, or a
But how
dating
is
site.
Facebook not really a dating app?
No, you're not wrong about that. But I think at the
Right?
same time, he really wanted to make something a little more social. Like it wasn't dating, it was connecting. Like I think there is a little bit of a difference, but it's true. Like the Winklevoss, it's
But
believing that the
according,
idea
according
is
again, I'm going like according to this movie, it's
yeah,
not enough of a difference.
that's true.
Considering he had to pay out a boatload of money to them, and I'm sure he had
How much did he pay them?
any.
Like 65 million? Yeah, that's a
So yeah,
lot. But I
I
mean,
mean,
at the time, though, that was
it
already
was
10 years
found
ago. That was nothing.
exactly, but it was found in court that he stole their idea,
Yeah,
or else he wouldn't have settled, right? Or he settled before they even went to court. That's
yeah,
settling is essentially admitting you did something wrong without having to go to court.
yes. I
Because
mean, I
then
think yes and no.
then it kind of
It's
it's a
also you don't
yes
want to
and no.
tarnish your image, though.
Sorry,
Like a lot of times, people want to settle because it's not that they were right or wrong. They just don't want to be dragged
it won't
like
drag
through that
through
negativity.
court system exactly. So, but it's essentially shutting
Hmm.
the other party up.
Yeah.
Right. And they had them sign a non-disclosure agreement. So that tells me, hey, maybe he did swipe this
Mhm.
idea.
But in all honesty, though, I think he took it to a level that it would never get to.
There's no argument there. But the
So I
fact of the
think that's
matter is they had an idea, they presented it to
Mhm.
him, and then he tweaked it just enough to claim it as his own.
Yeah, 100%. They yeah, I think just also at the same time it was very I mean, you really got the sense that Mark Zuckerberg didn't care for the people that were more upper class. You know what I mean? Like he was in Harvard, but he
Mhm.
didn't care about like the Phoenix Club. He didn't care about the guys at Row Crew. He didn't care about the Winklevoss. Like he didn't like what they represented. So when they were
Yeah.
talking about Harvard Connection, they were really talking about just this little exclusive group. And he was more about inclusion, like he wanted everyone to get there as opposed to them just making it a specific little club. And I think that would be the big difference. So the site was the same, but the reasons for having them would be very different.
Fair enough. I mean, let's move on from that. What did you think of Andrew Garfield in this movie? How do you think he?
You know what? He gets better for me every time I watch it. Because when
Yeah,
I watched it the first time, it was really, for me, it was all about Jesse Eisenberg. Like he stole the movie. It really was his movie. And actually it was Justin Timberlake acting better than he should be able to as well. He was so good in that movie, in this movie.
but
And then you have
I would argue the way Timberlake interpreted the role was almost like a watered down version of himself in some regard
yeah,
at that time.
probably, or more of an ass.
Or
Like,
yeah,
I'm
even more
sorry,
of an
that
ass.
line when he's like, you know what I read about you? Nothing. That I died in the theater. I was like, dang, that was so harsh. And so when I remember watching it, I remember really being on the side of Jesse Eisenberg and enjoying Andrew Garfield's performance.
Hmm.
He's more mellow. He's not as quick spoken, but
Right.
he had
He's a
that
little bit more.
aggression.
Yeah.
Like, man, when he loses it, it's so justified. Like when he gets to the house without being picked up from the airport, when Sean is egging him on. So yeah, I mean, watching it this time, I was like, dang, this guy is a good actor. You know,
Yeah.
Andrew Garfield is a good actor, and again, especially at the time when I'd watched it, I didn't know who he was the first time, and I had no idea he was from England. There's one line that like
Hmm.
kind of you kind of hear it, but That's it. Like it's literally like one word that I'm like, there's kind of your British accent, but that's it.
He's
Like,
fairly good at accents and
oh, he well,
hiding his British accent.
yeah, when he's Spider-Man, he was fine, you know. Like,
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
he's a good actor. Like he he was solid. Like there's and for me, there's no weak link in this movie. Nobody. You know, even the side characters. You know, the kid from Jurassic Park, his odd little quips.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, this movie did such a good job of just like casting
Even
was really
Aaron
good in
Sorkin.
this.
Aaron Sorkin's in it for like a second,
Yeah.
and he's great. You know.
Yeah, they did a great job of just sort of casting and who to put in what roles, and everybody sort of raised the bar, so to speak, in terms of
Mhm.
performance.
Yeah, and you know, again, like I think it just boils down to the fact. I mean, you have David Fincher, like he's the director of like Fight Club,
Yeah.
right?
Oh
You
yeah.
know, and this movie, a lot of people would say should have won the Best Picture that year. You know,
What did it lose to?
it lost to The King's Speech.
Yeah, but The King's Speech is a really good
The
movie,
King's
though.
Speech is a good movie. Don't get me wrong, but it's another one of those kind of it's a period piece, you know, it's set
Yeah.
in like
Oh yeah.
19 whatever what 1920s, like during Churchill or whatever. It's about a king and it's about the struggle that he goes through, and it's more of an artistic film, right? And that was at that time Hollywood is slowly starting to accept the movies that encompass more than just being an independent feature or something that is just I don't know, something that is not just I don't know, because Hollywood can be upper class, you know what
I
I
get what
mean?
you're trying to say. They're a little more hoity-toity,
Yeah, sure, yeah,
right?
yeah.
In comparison, like for
Well, you
example,
have, you know, when now they're starting to have comic book movies officially nominated, you know, Black Panther, and you had Joker. Like Joker had what 13 nominations or something last year, or like
yeah, but
11.
Joker, I would argue Joker would be a little bit more warranted that Best Picture nod over
Oh,
Black
for sure.
Panther.
Well, for sure. That was a given. It actually was. You just had the title Joker, but that movie really was more of an like an actor's kind of.
It was, yeah, it was
Like,
not
it's
a
just
comic
him.
book
It's
movie.
just
It
no,
just
it wasn't.
the most comic bookiness of that movie is the last 15 to 20 minutes, and it's not even that much,
Yeah, it's just him in the
right?
costume.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, I heard that Tarantino said that this, to him, The Social Network is the best movie of the 20th century, and you know,
I mean,
I can't argue with that.
it's very well done. It highlights, like, I guess one would argue, one of the most important, I guess, moments in modern history, if you think about it,
Mhm.
because once Facebook hits it, then you have other platforms, like Instagram,
Mhm.
TikTok, all the other whatever, right?
Yeah, yeah. You know,
And it's in part thanks to Facebook's popularity. Now, the
Mhm.
major question is how the last few years now Facebook's sort of been in hot water with apparently selling, information or
Yeah.
and it kind of gives you an idea. But this movie also does set up, and we mentioned it like early in the episode today, how Mark Zuckerberg isn't that nice of a guy,
No,
right?
he's almost like a cutthroat businessman before he was a businessman.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But
And you,
and it's messed up because he doesn't care about the money. Like
yeah,
they
no,
kept going out of their way to say that he doesn't care about the money. But I
but
mean, did he though?
exactly.
Especially
Maybe it's something he wanted them to put into the script. You never
no.
know. I mean,
Apparently, as far as I know, none of the actual founding members of Facebook had anything to do with the movie.
fair enough.
They didn't. The only person I think. Oh shoot! I read it somewhere. The only person I think that met their like counterpart, I guess, the real life character was Timberlake. I think he's the only one that actually met Sean Parker, whereas
And Sean
the rest,
Parker's not really a founding member of Facebook.
right? But the rest, yeah, I don't think the rest met because they didn't. I don't know if that was by choice or if it was they didn't want to have them influence the way they portrayed the movie or the characters in the movie.
That's a fair point. I mean,
I did read that Jesse Eisenberg and Andrew Garfield became really good friends through the movie,
I could see
but
that. Like
but they had a hard time with those emotional scenes that
oh,
would
why
really
is
hurt
that?
them. Well, like I think they were just so invested that when they had those moments where they were really, at each other's throats, they had to. It took them a while to kind of come down off of that because they were just because they were so close outside the movie now or something.
Mm-hmm. Apparently, Zuckerberg actually never planned to see the movie, but then I just found this on IMDb. So Zuckerberg originally never planned to see the movie. He ended up taking several of his employees to see it, later remarking that despite some of the film's inaccuracy, they got his clothing right.
Ha, that's awesome. Um, yeah, and there's something like him, even though it was kind of tarnishing Facebook, they still allow like a Facebook page dedicated to the movie, stuff like that. I
Well,
also read
yeah.
something that this is interesting to me because I'm blind. Apparently, Mark Zuckerberg is what's the word? He has a degree of uh, color blindness.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He is red green colorblind. This is why Facebook is blue.
Mark Zuckerberg himself. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
Well, that makes
And
sense.
do you know who the Harvard student is? That's the celebrity, the movie star,
No.
Natalie Portman.
Oh,
Well, apparently
snap.
they actually asked her, and she gave some info about what it was like to be on campus while Facebook was starting.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I had remembered or had heard that she had gone to Harvard because she's like crazy smart too. Um, but
Yeah, she got her degree at Harvard for, I have no idea, but
yeah, I don't know either. What else?
she's doing Natalie
There was a
Portman.
couple good things. Um, apparently, so the movie, like, what's so good about the movie too is the pace.
Oh, it's paced very
this
well.
this
Yeah.
movie's pace is so good, and that's again, it's that dialogue, and then the cutaway scenes are not super long. They don't drag things out. It's just here we are. The time jumps happen kind of seamless. It's just all of a sudden it's been months. Like it's been a couple months. All of a sudden he's in California, and it doesn't feel like whoa, how did they get there? It's just they're there. Like that's it. You're there along for the ride. But apparently that first scene with Rooney Mara took them 99 takes.
Really?
Yeah.
What? Why? That's
You
so
look at
many
all those
takes.
cuts, you look at, I don't know, how fast paced. Like I remember watching it and I almost felt like her, when she's like trying to answer the one question, but he asked like, he said two things and she's like, I don't know
Yeah.
what
Oh, such a frustrating scene.
it's so good. And she's like, I don't know what to say to you, she's like, it's exhausting being with you.
I bet.
Yeah.
I really bet it would be exhausting. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Um,
Apparently, Aziz Ansari auditioned for the role of Divya Nurundia.
the Winklevoss's friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. It seemed like everybody was just an unknown in this movie. You know, at that point, Jesse Eisenberg, I had really only seen him in Zombieland, I think.
I think that's all he had made before that. And then,
Yeah.
Andrew Garfield hadn't done anything yet
Yeah, I didn't
that
know.
anybody knew of.
Rooney
Army
Mara,
Hammer,
Rooney Mara, I think had been in like maybe Nightmare on Elm Street, or she was coming up on that. I think she had done
maybe,
a few
and like,
bit things.
and Army Hammer hadn't done anything yet. The only one that you could really recognize beforehand would have been what's his name, Timberlake,
Yeah, Timberlake.
out of the principal cast,
And
right?
I think maybe the girl, was her name Christy, the girlfriend?
Maybe
I think she was like a Disney Channel
she was a
actress
Disney
or
Channel
something like
chick,
that.
but again, like she was just like a Disney Channel person,
Yeah, like so that's not stuff
So
that you and I would have known, or you know.
I wouldn't have known it. Maybe more so because my sister would watch Disney Channel, but other than
Right.
that, the years that she was on Disney Channel, I don't think you and I would have been watching it.
Yeah, that would have been. Um,
That would have been awkward.
yeah, so you know, sorry, I was right. So yeah, Justin Timberlake, who plays Sean Parker, was the only actor that was able to meet his real life character. It's crazy.
Well, apparently Fincher just didn't want the actors to meet them.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
You know, they're not. You don't want like that preconceived um notion of like knowing them or whatever. You know.
Yeah. So that's probably part of it. Oh, man. It's crazy to think though that this movie is 10 years old and is just it's
Mhm.
still it's still interesting and compelling, just I guess because of what Facebook has become makes it even more interesting and odd, because Facebook's now come this odd little place where people can go and rant, and strangely now, which, and I believe Mark Zuckerberg has gotten into a bit of hot water for, has become this place where propaganda is spread
Well,
unabashedly.
it's probably hard to control, right? Like there
Oh no,
are
it is for sure.
how many millions and millions of people are actually on Facebook now? Like
Oh yeah,
hundreds.
it's
There's got
it's
to be,
insane.
man, it's got to be close to like a billion people. Who knows,
Mhm. More
right?
than that for sure.
Like there's so many people on Facebook that I mean, how are you supposed to control what someone says or promotes? You know, like
Exactly, and that's
you and I know people ourselves that will uh, post negativity or racist remarks, and you're like, how is this still
insanity.
on?
Insanity. It's just it's not right.
Yeah.
It's not right. That's not what it was meant to do, and that's not what we should be using it for. But that's another story.
And what was I gonna say? Like, I don't know if just catching this now when I was watching it, you know, one of the last scenes when Sean gets arrested, right? They have the house
Right.
party. He gets arrested with the interns, and they're, you know, they're doing like coke and all that. Um, he what does he say? He's while he's talking to them, it could be like I could be wrong, but it almost sounded like he was talking about the foundation or laying the groundwork for Instagram, because he was talking about like you want to see pictures and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And mind you, you at that point, well, that point you could already post so many pictures on Facebook. You know, like back in like
Sorry,
2000.
who was it? Sean Parker, or was it Zuckerberg's
No,
thinking
it's John
about like
Parker. He's talking to the interns, and he's like, "You want this? You want to continue the party? You want to relive the party? That's why you post these pictures and all this stuff." And
yeah,
I was,
yeah, yeah.
and I was like, "Oh man, like, are you talking about continually to talk about Facebook, or was that even the groundwork for like Instagram?"
It sounded a lot like the groundwork for Instagram. Like I don't
But,
know Sean Parker's involvement in Instagram. Maybe
but
he
you
could have
know,
been.
but you know that Facebook owns Instagram now, right? So
Yes,
it
so
doesn't really matter.
it doesn't matter. Either way, Mark Zuckerberg wins.
Yeah, no kidding.
All right, guys, we've come to the point in our show where we rate this movie out of 5 ginger snaps, and we start off with Josh. Josh, how many ginger snaps do you give The Social Network?
I would give it 5.
Oh, you're going all the way to
I
5.
give it 5. You know, I forgot how
Wow.
good this movie was, how surprisingly good it was, and how surprisingly good
Mm,
everybody's
mm.
in it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's it's
I
it's
watch it, and the score is even really good. Like just
yeah.
those moments when Sean is like leaving the bar, going back to his dorm at the very beginning, you have that just that boom, like it's yeah, everything about it to me is, I don't want to say perfect, but it's yeah,
It's close for you, eh?
it's close. So
Um,
I gotta go 5.
I'm gonna go 4.5 to be honest with you. I liked a lot of things about it, but there's just some things it just I wasn't too sure on or whatever, and I could just be really nitpicky about it.
Hmm.
But
What?
it's not perfect for me. So there are certain things I'm like, oh, okay,
Mhm.
all right, and then you start wondering whether or not any of this really happened. Like, it was Mark Zuckerberg that much of a dick, or did they kind of, you know, lean too far one way, or
Mhm.
for the sake of the movie. But
Like, was
again,
there an
it's
agenda kind of thing?
yeah, right. And it just, I was like, I don't know, and it, it kind of took me out of it, but not that much. I mean, I really do enjoy this movie. But for me, it's not one of my go-tos
Mm.
personally.
You know
But
what? Yeah.
that's not to say I didn't like it. It's just
Mhm.
not it's not one of my go-tos, right?
Mhm.
And for whatever reason, that's why I'm gonna give her a
Mhm.
4.5.
Yeah. No, that's
Yeah.
fair. From yeah, like I said, for me, it's just one of these movies that are considered like a drama. You know,
Hmm. Hmm.
this is in a class of like actual award contenders. You know, like this is a movie I could probably watch. Like, yeah, I could just keep watching it. It's so good, and I love how it's set up. You know, between the two trials or the two cases,
Right.
all the stories being told. Like, I love how that's all. It's just,
Mm-mm.
yeah, I love the time jumps. Yeah, everything about it is. It's funny because there's one point in the movie too, and it might be halfway through when he's talking about Zuckerberg. He says like, they say something like, were you just upset that you didn't get into this club? And he's like, I could buy that building now, and it would even put a dent in like my pocket, something like that.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
about buying,
That's true.
and he's
Uh,
like, and it's just like,
yeah.
but that happens halfway. So like, even if you weren't aware of the story, he just gave it away that he's worth so much money at this point, and you're
Yeah.
still like, okay, how did we get there? How are you worth this much money? You know?
Yeah. Well, basically they sort of drop you in and at a point where I feel like the trial would be taking place at the time that we were in when the movie was released,
Yeah, it's like
sort of thing.
2010. That was,
Yeah.
they had
So
said it was worth $25 billion,
yeah.
Facebook,
So that point.
and 10 years later, it's probably 10 times that
I,
almost.
I would not doubt that now with the acquisition of Instagram as well.
Yeah.
So there you have it. Josh, where can our audience find our Instagram, funny enough?
Well, they can find us at GingerFlixPod on Instagram. You can find us on at GingerFlix on YouTube, and FlixPod or GingerFlix on Twitter.
We don't have a Facebook profile though.
Yeah,
Sorry.
we're
Sorry,
talking about
Facebook.
Facebook. We don't even have a Facebook profile.
We're better than that.
Ridiculous. Get it together.
We're too cool for Facebook
We are. We are in your Facebook.
now. Boom. Anyways, guys, thanks for listening. I'm Joey,
And I'm Josh.
and we'll see you soon.